Bolivian lawmakers are meeting to discuss a bill that would prevent a new postponement of the general elections. Greek authorities reported a record 262 new COVID-19 cases on Wednesday. Lebanese President Michel Aoun has acknowledged that he received information on explosive materials that were stored in Beirut's port before the explosions of last week. From the headquarters of Telesur English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South, I'm Katrina Goss. Bolivian lawmakers met in the upper house of the Plurinational Legislative Assembly on Wednesday in order to discuss a bill to avoid a new postponement of the general elections. Lawmakers of the three main parties met to debate the bill that would set October 18th as the maximum deadline for the holding of elections, thus preventing yet another postponement by the de facto regime and ensuring that a newly elected government takes office this year. The initiative is being promoted by the Movement Towards Socialism's lawmakers following the third postponement of the elections from September to October, which has sparked widespread protests and indefinite general strike. Meanwhile, the Bolivian Workers' Center, the chief trade union federation of the country, and the Unity Pact Alliance have proposed to the Electoral Tribunal and the Legislative Assembly that the general elections take place on October 11th, while also demanding the proposed date be enshrined in law. The organisations have assured that if this new proposal is approved, the ongoing strike and roadblocks will be lifted nationwide. Indigenous people in Colombia displaced due to the ongoing violence in their home territories have been evicted from their homes in the capital, Bogota, as they have no way of paying rent in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. A total of 350 members of 141 indigenous families, including minors, were forcibly removed from the Tercer Milenio Sur Park, where they had taken refuge after being made homeless. Community representatives noted that they had been surviving under the lockdown, which has prevented them from earning a living, thanks to the charity provided by foundations and individuals who donated food. At least 450 families of Brazil's landless workers movement were evicted from an agricultural camp in the Brazilian state of Minas Gerais. The organisation has denounced the way the evictions were conducted with the presence of military police. The MST noted that the families had been living on the land for more than 20 years and stressed that the eviction order was a criminal move committed by the local authorities. Meanwhile, the affected families have noted the move comes in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, making it even harder for them to find a place to live and work. And the governor of the Brazilian state of Sao Paulo, João Doria, has announced that he tested positive for COVID-19.
I have just received my 6th COVID-19 test, and this one, unfortunately, was positive. I have coronavirus. I am absolutely asymptomatic. I feel fine. I'm going home. I'm going to follow the medical protocol, the guidance of Dr. David Hui. I take this opportunity to ask you, who are in your home, to protect yourself and also follow the health protocols. All this will end. The vaccine will arrive and Brazil will have a new moment free of coronavirus. Until then, we have to face this, follow the protocol and obey the healthcare system.
And Brazil continues to be the second hardest hit country by the novel coronavirus pandemic in the world. To date, health authorities have reported over 3.1 million confirmed cases and more than 100,000 deaths. Nearly 55,000 cases were confirmed in the last 24 hours alone. In Chile, several activists held a rally east of the capital, Santiago, in support of the Mapuche community. The rally took place in the main square of the municipality of Nuñoa. Demonstrators praised the resistance of indigenous Mapuche communities and stressed that they will continue to support their demands. They also called for the release of Mapuche political prisoners who've been on hunger strike for over 100 days. Former Ecuadorian President Abdallah Bucaram was arrested on Wednesday in the city of Guayaquil on charges related to organised crime linked to the illegal sale of COVID-19 medical supplies. At least 30 police officers entered the former president's home with an arrest warrant related to an investigation that was launched in May after 2 Israelis were detained in connection with the alleged illegal sale of COVID-19 medical supplies. Bucaram is also facing 2 previous investigations into illegal trafficking of cultural property and of arms and munitions. Colombia's National Electoral Council has opened a preliminary investigation into President Iván Duque's 2018 electoral campaign following accusations that he violated rules on campaign funding. Our correspondent Henan Tobar has the story.
Files and declarations about possible electoral irregularities in the campaign of President Duque, such as a conversation between Maria Claudia Daza, former advisor of Senator Uribe, and the director of the official party Democratic Center, Nubia Estela Martinez, could be used as a proof of a non-declared donation made by the Venezuelan businessman Oswaldo Cisneros. This information is now evidence in the preliminary investigation to Duque's presidential campaign, an inquiry underway by the National Electoral Council. The institution summoned Daza and Martinez to testify, as well as the campaign manager and former Senator Aida Merlano.
Aida Merlano, former senator of the political machinery, were to support Duque and everyone but votes to make him president.
The case that now involves the Venezuelan businessman tries to find out if the campaign financial reports included about $300,000 which Oswaldo Cisneros would have delivered to Iván Duque's campaign in 2018.
Alejandra Barrios, electoral observer, said that the first thing is to clarify if the $300,000 exist and were there, if they entered the political campaign and were not reported. We are facing an act that is completely legal. If they are delivered to the political party, is possible and legitimate for a political platform to reserve resources from private donors, from legal entities, and may receive foreign resources for training purposes.
Several political sectors believe that the National Electoral Council is a politicized instance that does not offer any kind of legal guarantee, since the judges are part of the political parties that, in this case, are linked to the former president and now in house arrest Álvaro Uribe.
We worry because such an important body is a fourth electoral power. Everything that has to do with electoral guarantees is completely politicized in our country, even in how judges are educated and trained, that are elected in the Congress, decisions related to the political forces in the parliament. This causes that the judge make decisions not based on the law, but on fear or political conveniences.
Currently, the Instruction Committee will be in charge of carrying out the inquiries in this investigation. It will be performed by 3 judges, one from the Conservative Party, another from the Radical Change Party, and another from the Anti-Liberal Investigation Party. For many analysts, this does not guarantee a reliable impartiality.
We'll be right back after this short break, so don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Greek authorities reported 262 new COVID-19 cases on Wednesday, representing the highest daily increase since the outbreak of the pandemic. The total number of cases confirmed in Greece now stands at more than 6,000, while the death toll climbed to 217. 85 of the new cases were recorded in the northern Greek city of Thessaloniki, while 66 were located in the capital, Athens. In order to reinforce COVID-19 measures during the summer tourist season, Greek authorities have extended a ban on flights from Turkey, while restricting flights from Albania and North Macedonia. Meanwhile, passengers arriving from Sweden, Belgium, Spain, the Netherlands and the Czech Republic must present a negative COVID-19 test in order to gain entry into the country. According to a study carried out by the International Labour Organization, the disproportionate effect of the pandemic on young people has aggravated inequalities and risks reducing the productive potential of an entire generation. The ILO study highlights that since the outset of the pandemic, more than 70% of youth who study or combine study with work have been adversely affected by the closing of schools, universities and training centres. According to the report, 65% of young people reported having learned less since the beginning of the pandemic because of the transition from classroom to online and distance learning during lockdown. The situation has been even worse for youth living in lower income countries who have less access to the internet, a lack of of equipment and sometimes a lack of space at home. The survey was conducted in 112 countries among 12,000 young people between the ages of 18 and 29. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres told the Security Council this Wednesday that member states' commitment to sustaining peace is more urgent than ever in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The pandemic threatens not only hard-won development and peace-building gains, but also risks exacerbating conflicts or fomenting new ones. Questions are growing about the effectiveness of health systems, social services, trust in institutions and systems of governance. All of this means that our commitment to sustaining peace is more urgent than ever. COVID-19 is a human tragedy, but we can mitigate the impact by the choices we make. More than ever, multidimensional, coordinated and conflict-sensitive responses and all-of-society approaches are crucial. They are key to ensuring that peace-building and sustaining peace initiatives go hand-in-hand with inclusive and sustainable development, anchored in the protection and promotion of human rights, gender equality, and the commitment to leave no one behind. The world is looking to all leaders, including the Council, to address the epic crisis in ways that make a concrete, meaningful and positive contribution to the lives of people.
The Spanish city of Zaragoza is setting up a new field hospital and quarantine area to treat COVID-19 patients as regional health authorities prepare for a possible second wave of infections. The region of Aragon has reported the highest COVID-19 numbers in Spain over the past 7 days, with 242 patients admitted to hospitals and 32 deaths. On Wednesday, Spanish army troops began setting up a field hospital in the parking lot of another hospital following a request by the local government. The field hospital is expected to be ready to receive patients by Friday.
20 plazas para mujeres, 40 plazas para hombres.
There are 20 spaces for women and 40 places for men in 2 separate areas. We have also created offices and storage space, showers, lockers. These are separate rooms, although as you can see, these are separate as it gets. We got a lot more than what we expected in the beginning. We have got a lot more for the people that are going to have to spend 15 days here, so they could be as comfortable as possible.
The British Chancellor said Wednesday that the employment picture in the United Kingdom was difficult, with hundreds of thousands of jobs lost and many more expected to go in the wake of the novel coronavirus pandemic.
Well, the employment picture, as I've said, is difficult. Hundreds of thousands of people have already lost their jobs. Many more will. That is incredibly sad, and why it's so important that we focus on trying to help those people, which is why we outlined our plan for jobs in July to support, protect and create jobs across the United Kingdom. And whether it's through the job retention bonus, whether it's through initiatives like Eat Out to Help Out or the Kickstart scheme for young people or new apprenticeship incentives, I want to provide people with new opportunities.
In Scotland, students went back to school for the first time in 5 months on Tuesday as leaders across the UK pushed to reopen schools despite an increase in the number of COVID-19 cases. The Scottish Government ordered students to gradually begin returning to school this week, with all classes set to fully resume by next Tuesday. In England, the government continues to insist that classes will begin in early September, despite fears expressed by teachers over safety. The reopenings come as the United Kingdom, which has recorded the highest COVID-19 death toll in Europe at more than 46,000, could be witnessing the start of a second wave of infections. 3 people died when a passenger train derailed in north-east Scotland on Wednesday in what First Minister Nicola Sturgeon described as an extremely serious incident. The crash, close to the town of Stonehaven, around 25 kilometres south of Aberdeen, followed severe flooding across parts of the region overnight.
This is clearly a very, very tragic incident, and my thoughts first of all go out to the families, the friends, all those who've been involved in what's happened today. We're still waiting for a clearer picture in terms of the numbers of those involved, indeed numbers who may have lost their lives as well, and keeping a very close contact with the investigators on all those grounds.
In Mauritius, authorities are warning that a grounded Japanese-owned oil ship could split in 2 at any moment, with cracks in the hull growing larger every day. The vessel ran aground on a coral reef last month and began leaking oil last week. A team of United Nations experts has arrived in Mauritius to support efforts to prevent the oil spill from further damaging its previously pristine environment. Japan has also dispatched a 6-member team, including members of its Coast Guard, to assist the clean-up efforts. According to Prime Minister Pravin Jugnauth, almost all the oil on the ship, thought to be carrying some 4,000 tons of fuel, has been pumped out. We have more stories coming up after this final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Lebanese President Michel Aoun acknowledged on Wednesday that he had information on explosive materials that were stored in Beirut's port before the explosions of last week. The President's office noted that Aoun was notified of the issue on July 20th in a state security report presented during a meeting of the Council of Ministers in order for adequate measures to be taken. The General Secretary of the Supreme Defence Council then referred the report to the competent authorities. Meanwhile, the Lebanese executive has stressed the investigations into the blast that caused at least 200 deaths and wounded over 6,000 people are ongoing. Israel launched yet another attack on the Gaza Strip early Wednesday morning. Israeli military aircraft launched 4 missiles on an agricultural area south of the city of Rafah. Another missile attack was launched at a Hamas facility to the south of Gaza City. Simultaneously, Israeli artillery made several strikes close to the Al-Burej refugee camp in the center of the Gaza Strip. In Belarus, police forces arrested the coordinator of violent riots that started in Minsk on Sunday after the presidential election. Authorities reported that the detainee issued orders to other 3 people, and together they were responsible for coordinating the acts of hundreds of protesters. The demonstrations in Minsk broke out after current President Alexander Lukashenko was declared the winner of the presidential election on Sunday night, having secured over 80% of the vote for what will be his 6th consecutive presidential term. 1 person was killed and more than 200 injured during the protests. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani has stressed he believes that a US bid to extend the UN arms embargo on his country will fail, but warned of consequences if the UN Security Council backs the move.
Now the US has proposed a resolution against this part of Resolution 2231 to violate it. We have great hope that America will fail. We have great hope that yet again America will realize its failure and see its isolation. But our stance in any situation is clear. If such a resolution comes to pass at the United Nations against a part of Resolution 2231, it means a blatant violation of the JCPOA. Its consequences will rest with the perpetrators of this act, those who are trying for this.
And President Rouhani's remarks came after Iran's ambassador to the United Nations said the US would have to redraft its proposed resolution on the issue after it was rebuffed by Security Council members. The ban on selling arms to Iran is set to be progressively eased from October under the terms of Resolution 2231, endorsing the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action known as the Iran Nuclear Deal. Under the agreement, Iran committed to limit its nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. And Iran's foreign minister has stressed that the resolution proposed by the United States to extend the UN arms embargo is illegal. Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif said that the resolution uses the Security Council's own mechanisms to weaken the UN body. He highlighted that the United States does not have the legal authority to use the dispute resolution mechanism to reimpose international sanctions against Iran without prior negotiations. Security Council diplomats said that the final draft of the resolution could be presented on Thursday and voted on this Friday.
This is a very illegal resolution and, in fact, uses the mechanism of the Security Council to destroy the Security Council. I'm sure that this resolution will also be rejected.
And we've come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. For Telesu English, I'm Katrina Goss, and thank you for watching.